Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This time we are going to be sharing a video that is not just ordinary, not that our previous videos were ordinary, but today we're going to be discussing the topic on how you can have an amazing wedding night that would glorify God. And we're going to have 3 tips for you on how you can do that, and stay till the end so you can learn about how our wedding night went spicy.
The first tip that we have for you guys is to be selfless. Selflessness is the foundation of marriage, and so naturally it's going to be the foundation of your wedding night. So critical. And one really practical way that you're going to do this is you want to remove pornography. Just wholesale, completely remove it out of your heart, remove it out of your life, remove it out of your marriage.
Exactly, and hopefully you're working on that now, and not just for the wedding night and not just for your spouse, but ultimately because you want to please and love the Lord and live a life of righteousness.
Yes, let me share a verse with you guys. 1 Corinthians 6 verse 16 says, "Or do you not know that the one who joins himself to a prostitute is one body with her? For he says, the two shall become one flesh." One of the most corrupting things about pornography or any sexual sin is the way that it really warps you, because sex is designed by God to connect you with your spouse, to unite and knit you together. But what happens in pornography is you just keep getting knitted to these images and this falsehood and these false dreams, a nightmare really, and connecting yourself with your phone or your computer or whatever. It's just this nasty thing that warps your perspective. And that's one of the things that is so scary about having pornography in your heart while you bring that into the marriage bed, is you start to have this pornographic perspective. You have those pornographic lenses when you're trying to come in and enjoy unfettered, joyful, love-filled physical intimacy. So husbands and wives to be, or husbands and wives that are listening right now, don't put your spouse on that performance treadmill where they're trying to compete with all of those pornographic images that you've seen in your head, and nobody's going to be able to live up to that because those things are a fantasy, and that's not what love is anyways.
Yeah, so husbands, don't expect your wife to look like a Barbie doll and expect her to also respond like what you see in pornographic images.
Yeah, and on that note, husbands, a lot of times we do this really weird thing where we just expect our wives to look like a 11 out of a 10 supermodel when we basically look like a sack of potatoes and just like a 2 out of 10 or something. You know, you're talking to some guys and you're just like, my friend, why are you putting this great impossible standard on her when in actuality you got a lot of humility built in on your genetics there, right? Where you know you're fearfully and wonderfully made, but you got to be humble as well. So let's knock off all the nonsense of that physicality that is so permeated in our minds because of sexual sin. Let's take it out now. And if you guys want more help in terms of taking away the pornography out of your life, fleeing from sexual immorality and pursuing God, comment below and we would be glad to share some resources with you.
Alright, so now that we've gotten pornography out of the way, we can now practice selfless love in sex, and especially as we're talking about the topic, the wedding night.
We can draw a lot of instruction about selfless love in sex from 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verses 4 and 5. Specifically, some chunks I'm looking at is love is patient, love is kind, and if you skip on down to verse 5, it says that it does not seek its own. It doesn't seek its own. So sex in the marriage bed on that wedding night, it's not about trying to fulfill yourself and then to be able to give what you can so you can gain what you can. It's not about this reciprocity, just giving back and forth like a business relationship or anything like that, but it's about being kind. It's about being so focused on giving your wife pleasure, or wives giving your husband pleasure, and to find the greatest pleasure in giving each other pleasure. And it's that selfless love that we even see in Jesus, where he gladly gave himself up, even to the point of dying a horrible death on the cross and receiving God's wrath on him to be able to redeem his bride, to be able to redeem his people and his saints. And so it's that kind of a selfless love that we want to be focused on. So now that you have that foundation of that selfless love, we can move on to the next tip, which is number 2, communicate.
Yes, so communicate. before the wedding night, communicate just logistics in a lighthearted manner.
Yes, communicating just on the logistics is super important because you don't want to talk explicitly about your physical intimacy before the wedding night because it can be very tempting, so you don't want to open that door. And keep it lighthearted, like Joanna's saying, because you don't want to throttle each other's necks about the super tight schedule of like 8:03 p.m. we are going to start brushing teeth. 8:07 p.m. we're going to start flossing, you know, or whatever, you know, just relax, just relax. Yeah.
So some logistics that you guys would talk about includes lodging, food, general schedule, travel accommodations, giving plenty of time for rest and leisure, and of course, you cannot forget this, giving enough time for reading and prayer.
Yeah, you don't want to be like us on our wedding night where it took us forever to figure out where to eat dinner, and so we ended up bringing the food back to our hotel at like 8 p.m.
Was it 8 p.m.?
9 p.m.?
I don't remember.
10 p.m.?
It was late.
It was, yeah, we were just dead tired at that point. We could barely stay awake for the rest of the night, so it was not good.
Well, you did.
I know, I fell asleep, yeah. So when you are awake, and you are hopefully staying awake, really important in terms of your communication is to foster an environment of discovery. Yes, you guys want to be like two kids in a candy shop where you're there at your wedding night and it's just pure Christ-centered love for one another. And it reminds me of the bliss that you see in Song of Solomon chapter 2 verse 11 to 13 where the bridegroom says, "For behold, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone. The flowers have already appeared in the land. The time has arrived for pruning the vines, and the voice of the turtle dove has been heard in our land. The fig tree has ripened its figs, and the vines in blossom have given forth their fragrance. Arise, my darling, my beautiful one, and come along." And so you see the metaphor that is constantly laced throughout there is that their love is this marvelous playground of gardens and forests and thriving wildlife in the springtime. Just beautiful picture where they're just there frolicking in the meadows, and that's the picture of their love. And that's what you should have on your wedding night, where you have that environment of like, come along, let us frolic and enjoy and just, you know, discover one another. And so when you have that environment of clear communication with one another, then you can be excited to share likes and dislikes, what works and doesn't work. And let's definitely not be sensitive to hear what doesn't work, to be able to correct that and change that, to be able to better serve our spouse. And take your time, don't rush through it. Smell the flowers.
And speaking of smelling the flowers, our third point now is to enjoy.
Speaking of enjoying, I'm really enjoying this banana because I felt a little bit woozy and I thought I needed some potassium. So we'll see if it works out. But anyways, enjoying, go ahead.
There you go. Enjoy the night. And this means that, especially for wives-to-be, you need to remove those fantasy novel ideas or just those romantic ideals that you've had ever since you were a little girl. And don't get tense about trying to have that perfect fairy tale night. And this means wives-to-be, don't get hung up on lingerie, which I actually did, and that was just dumb. Like, don't get hung up on it. It doesn't need to be so stressful.
Just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun stuff.
It's fun stuff.
Just frosting on the cake, you know? Just, you want to put some sprinkles here, you want to put some sprinkles there,
yeah.
Whatever it is. But the cake's still gonna be good.
Exactly. So don't get hung up on lingerie or, you know, having a perfect bod or even what you smell like. Obviously, these things are not bad in and of themselves. They're good and means by which you can serve your future husband. But when you get so hung up on those things, the wedding night becomes more about you, yourself, and how you want to be portrayed to your future husband as opposed to God and his love for his bride being put on display through the reflection of your marriage.
Amen. Amen. Okay, so now we are at the end of the 3 tips and the moment you guys have all been waiting for. We said we would share how our wedding night went. And as we mentioned earlier, we came back from getting dinner really super late because of poor planning, and we were just brought back some Thai food to go, and I really think that we got back at like 10 p.m. But before we got back to our little hotel lodging area, I saw this Carl's Jr. and I was like, oh my goodness, what would make my wedding night more perfect than having a fresh milkshake from Carl's Jr. because Carl's Jr. makes awesome milkshakes. And it was very horrifying for Joanna.
Okay, so for the record, I did not grow up eating sweets, and you know, I was just thinking like sweets are from the devil. So when I saw that milkshake come through the drive-through window, I was like, we're having milkshake tonight?
What are you talking?
What is this fattening thing in our car? No, but I really love milkshakes now, so it's all good.
She's gotten used to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, point in case right here of just how much enjoyment there is to learn about one another. Just even that first wedding night, her learning about my love for milkshakes, right? And it's like something to not get tense about, but to just sit back, laugh, and enjoy. Just a heads up, guys, this is actually my second banana. I'm just trying to eat them all before they get way too sweet. And we don't have time probably to make banana bread or anything, but this is definitely helping my wooziness. I think I'm feeling better. If you guys like bananas as well, definitely hit the like button, definitely subscribe, and maybe in the future I'll eat another banana. Just comment below if you really like eating bananas. But anyway, so we got back, had the milkshake, and started to wash up.
Yes, so I think Shang started washing up first, and then I washed up after him. I don't remember, or together, maybe. Anyway, I was the last one out of the bathroom, and I come out, you know, and this whole time I have this romantic ideal, what I mentioned earlier about like not having that romantic ideal growing up. I had that, and so coming out of the bathroom, I was like, this is gonna be a great night, you know, it's gonna be very romantic, and I see my groom on the bed, asleep. Or maybe he was like about to sleep.
No, I was probably knocked out, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I just remember him sleeping, and I was like, this is not that great. I'm not enjoying the night.
This is just not nice.
My now husband is asleep, and so, you know, like I mentioned, all this romantic ideal in my head just kind of shattered. And what I realized and what God was teaching me was just like, just to enjoy and to have fun and not be so tense and caught up with all the nuances of what I would want it to look like.
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, I ended up eventually waking up, and we enjoyed the rest of our wedding night and maybe a kind of half sleepy, half awake kind of atmosphere.
That was him.
And it was
not me.
Not what you exactly picture, but now that we look back at it, we realize, okay, you know, there are some logistics we can communicate, there are some expectations we can talk through, but at the end of the day, it's just all fun. It's just something to enjoy. It's something that we can laugh about in our history together, in our first wedding night. It's something we won't ever forget. And it really is the start of our adventure together as a married couple, you know. And just to close, it really is so much of a beginning of your journey together.
Yeah.
Where most of the times we think of our wedding nights as like, this has got to be the climactic event
like
of our...
the end all be all. We're
exactly.
not gonna have intimacy ever again.
I know, yeah, like this is it. This is the one time, this is the one night. And really, if that's the truth, like that's super sad, where the rest of your marriage is just kind of this flat line or decline from this Mount Everest of an experience. But
so true.
But we hope that you guys were encouraged today to be selfless, having that foundation of love for one another, communicating, having fun, and then ultimately just enjoying that time. And then guarantee, if you practice these 3 things with your spouse or your spouse-to-be, share this video with them so that they can think about them as well. But if you practice these 3 things, then we can promise you that your first wedding night is not going to be the best night of your life, but it's going to be the beginning of your love together in a marriage that walks with God. See you guys in the next video. Comment below if you guys have any other questions. We'll love to see you very soon. Let me know if you guys want a banana. Okay.